Okay, hello everybody and welcome to round 4 of the Gentry Open. We are looking at the match between Alan and Michael. Alan is our, well, what you can call a road warrior. He has a prominent place high up all 3 of our leaderboards. Michael Millis is one of the players that came from our sponsors, actually. He works for a tournament center and wanted to see what exactly our little event is about. Both these players are currently undefeated. Michael is on a black, blue, white blink build, while Alan is on his, yes, you guessed it, his trusty red, green aggro. So again, we have a reappearance of a deck, red, green aggro, in the feature match. Let's see how this evolves. Again, Alan is the player who will need to be on the offensive, put pressure on his opponent, while Michael has the late game advantage, the interactions that he can squeeze for incremental advantages. Alan is playing the Uncaged Furies though, so he has that 1-2 punch combo potential that we were missing in the previous match. Alan still sporting that Servant of the Conduit, giving him slightly higher curve possibilities than some of the other more aggressive decks in the format, but as his success with the deck illustrates, definitely not a approach that should be scoffed at. It is more sensitive to deadweight though, as illustrated by Michael here, who has a Thraben Inspector to have a little beater on the board for himself. So as you can see, even for more controlling decks, it's really important to make sure you have enough interaction in the lower end of your curve, your mana curve, a lot of cheap cards to interact with these very aggressive decks. Full Take Brawler is the follow-up, so maybe Alan used the Conduit as a lightning rod for some removal, but the Brawler eats some removal of its own in the form of Fatal Push, and everything is going according to Michael's plan right now. Has a removal for anything Alan played, and something on the board for himself, a chump blocker or a little bit of card advantage. Ooh, but we have an Arlinn Court from Alan. This is usually the type of card that, well, Planeswalkers that control decks have issues with, especially if they're not playing red for some direct damage. So this recurring form of board advantage makes it a bit hard. We also have a question here if somebody can join the caster booth. We'll try to make it work with the headset, because the microphone makes it really hard to have multiple people right now. But it should be possible. So look forward to having some guest casters starting next round. Maybe if we have a long sideboarding sequence, we can set things up, but we'll have to test it. So the answers that Michael has against this Arlinn Court are playing removal on whatever is protecting it, and then forcing damage through. Ooh, and we have a Nissa. So this Nissa is the strongest indicator of why he is still playing Servant of the Conduit. A 5 mana Planeswalker. While Planeswalkers are very powerful in this format, is a bit awkward for this deck, but playing the Servant of the Conduit makes that makes that a possibility. Actually, Yala is doing really well in this tournament, so it's not him that would be jumping into the booth. Well, not at first. So yeah, we might have some interesting guests here. Okay, so again we have a Harpoonist trying to clear a path. Not a Harpoonist. What's his name? It's Harpoon something something. God damn it. Let's have a look at the deck list, shall we? Harpooner. Ah, there we go. Okay. Players are playing really quick, so sorry if I'm missing some of the cards and you can't recognize what exactly is going on here. Alan playing a Thriving Rhino, and that Nissa keeps turning lands into 5/5 elementals, trying to keep pressure on Michael, as Michael is playing the type of deck that can escalate if you leave off the pressure and give him time to develop something. Okay, so Michael is facing off against that 5/5 elemental, but there are worse things than that, and here is a Gonti to borrow some goodies from the opponent's deck. It's always awkward if a Gonti hits a rare in an opponent's deck, as they're limited to just 4 of them, of course. And we're getting to the point where the game has stabilized into a stalemate. This is the point where Alan wants to go looking for that one-hit kill with Uncaged Fury, while Michael is looking forward to starting blinking some of his creatures, getting incremental advantages as he goes. So Nissa gets minused to return Arlinn Court to his hand. That gets played, gets a wolf out of his trouble, that transforms. All the things are happening here. Let's try to get this nicely into image. Double-faced cards do weird stuff with my card viewer, so sorry if it's a bit out of focus here. Gonti attacks the Nissa, and Michael just fills his board with the little guy that could Throb Inspector, one of the most played cards in our format. And a Renegade map. So even though the pressure was off a little bit, having 2 active Planeswalkers on the other side of the battlefield does change that quite a bit. Now Arlinn Court gets some damage on the Gonti. Gets rid of that. The card remains available to Michael to be played, and we have a Bristling Hydra. So a showcase of the rares and mythics that Alan has at his disposal for sure. Michael not so fortunate in his draws. Alan has a huge energy reservoir at this point. Had 11, still has 9 now. And keeps bringing the pain with Planeswalker power. Not sure if Michael is living off the top of his deck or if he has some cards offside there. Yeah, looks like he has 2 cards now. Cycling through his clues to draw something interesting. Has a land and, if I'm not mistaken, yes, 2 cards at his disposal. Okay. Alan, quite comfortable, gets a Harnessed Lightning to destroy the Harpooner. But that gets met by the Blossoming Defenses from his own deck. This in order to so try to kill the Harpooners before attacking, so that the blink tricks are a lot less potent. And going on the offensive, Michael is only on 7 land, so he has to do some blocking. And doesn't even try anymore, scoops him up, and game 1 is for Alan Schuur. A red-green energy, claiming another victim in the capable hands of the person who probably has the single most experience with this deck in the entire format. Just goes to show that this is not just a format where you can pick up any stack of cards and go to town. So let's see if we can get the microphone working for a possible guest. Chat, I'm going to have a second sound source, so there might be some repeating sound here. Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Chat, can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2, 3, chat, can you hear me? Yeah, apparently this microphone is way too silent to be used, so I'm afraid that apparently the second microphone is way too quiet to be used, so I'm afraid we're going to be sticking to one commentator. No guest commentators then. So let's do another test. What would happen if we talk like this? The microphone should not like that too much. Yeah, no. So it won't be possible to have a second speaker. We'll try to keep that as a possibility in the back of our minds, that we try set up a second speaker for possible guest speakers. Michiel? Tweede microfoon gaat niet lukken, dus... Okay, so I'm afraid you're stuck with just me until the end of the entire event. You are my emotional hostages. The players are shuffling up. Let's have a quick look at what these people have in their sideboards. So for Alan, that is 2 Riparian Tigers, 3 Shocks, 2 Appetite for the Unnatural, 3 Rabid Bites, 3 Larger Than Lives, and 2 Destructive Tampering. For Michael, that is 2 Deadweights, 2 Tightening Coils, 3... what the hell? The commission, maybe? 3 Negates, 3 Wretched Griffs, and 2 4th Bridge Brawlers. So we expect some extra interaction with creatures to come in for Michael. So the 2 Deadweights seem pretty good. And maybe the negates probably the negates to fight the planeswalkers and some of the pump spell, while Alan, not sure what Alan wants to bring in. The shocks are pretty good, and maybe even the rabid bites, or the larger than lives to go for that surprise attack pump spell strategy. We'll have to see what comes out of these players. Okay, and we're off to the races again. Welcome to game 2 of round 4. Game 1 was won by Alan in typical red greed energy fashion, and we are off to the races here with an attune with Ether, making sure Alan has access to all his colors. Prophetic Prism does the same for Michael. Croc. And again, the first drop is a Servant of the Conduit for Alan. Michael passing with an empty board, so I'll save the Prism, but that doesn't really do any protection. Ready to cast something. He's playing Spell Queller, which, oh yeah, there is the larger than life that we talked about a little earlier. Alan usually not afraid to throw some cards at punching through extra damage, but a fatal push turns that into a 2-for-1 in favor of Michael. Gets a Thraben Inspector. Gets a clue, gets a 1-2, little chump blocker that can come in packing for bits of damage here and there. Ooh, Alan, no creature to reload with. It's a possibility that that's the reason why he chose to go on the offensive that hard with the larger than life. But probably would have been better off had he saved that up for when he had blossoming defenses. Then again, if Michael does not have the removal, ooh, and the attune with Ether gets neutralized by a Spell Queller here. Seems to be a favorite target for Michael for these Spell Quellers. I've seen a lot of them already getting eaten by there. Alan unfazed though, hits it with a Harnessed Lightning and gets access to his spell anyway. So that's 1 less 2/3 flying for Michael, and Alan gets his energy and his land after all. Still has the Thraben Inspector, who has done 100% of the damage in this entire game so far. Do not underestimate this creature, it is amazing, I know. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry if this inconvenienced you in any way. I will try to refrain from any drifts in my mental capacities from now on. Okay, oh, we have the Nissa, bam, met with the negate straight from the sideboard of Michael. And Michael looking very, very strong right now. Oh, starts smelling blood, playing the Vengeful Rebel without trying even to get advantage from it. And now Alan has the Voltaic Brawler. Do remember that 5 mana is what it takes to play larger than life into Uncaged Fury, which would mean a 9/8 double striking monstrosity. But even that is insufficient to kill Michael. So we're slightly more safe against the one-hit kill than we are usually, as Alan has been unable to push any chip damage through up to now. Vengeful Rebel number 2 is revolted by the disappearance of Evolving Wilds, but we have a High Spire Infusion. High Spire Infusion to take care of that. It's going too fast, so High Spire Infusion rescued the Voltaic Brawler, and then a Shock was able to take out the Rebel itself, meaning that Michael came in for the first damage of this round. So now that Michael is on a slightly lower life... Oh, he played the Uncaged Fury to deal 10 damage and played another Voltaic Brawler. Things are going too fast, need to learn how to type blindly. Oh, we have the Tightening Coils coming from Michael's sideboard, so I guess he deemed the aggro respectable enough to bring these in. Now blinks the Vengeful Rebel with acrobatic maneuver, and with that completely neutralized Alan's board. So as we can see, Michael's deck is very, very capable of taking on decks that aim to fight fair on board. Alan blocking with the coiled creature, and we have a Cloud Blazer. Cloud Blazer for Michael Millis, drawing him into some extra cards, getting him some extra life, and leaving behind a respectable 2/2 flying body. Michael B has been quite capable in defanging, declawing Alan's onslaught, and is now on the offense himself. Has lethal on the board next turn already, but decides to add a Harpooner to the board, making sure that even with a single removal spell, Alan would not be able to survive the next turn. And Alan sees the writing on the walls, scoops them up, and we are going to game 3. It's cool that all our feature matches so far have been going to game 3. It's less cool if you need to go to the toilet, like some people might have needed to at some point in this event, but still it makes for a way more entertaining viewing experience, and that's what we're doing this for. It's all for you, dear viewer. It's so you would have something nice to look at. Well, as far as my face is something nice to look at, I suppose. Yeah. Alright. So players have a chance to sideboard. Looks like Alan chose not to, while Michael went back to his sideboard and took a hard look at 3 cards. Michael taking his time, shuffling up and getting ready for game 3. His deck is overloaded with removal and waste to deal with aggro now, so he must be feeling quite comfortable. Pretty sure he also designed this deck to prey on these red-green aggro and black-green counter decks, which, now that I think about it, are absent from the coverage up to now. So that's actually interesting. We haven't made a metagame analysis of the decks that are played and how they're performing at this point. Okay, and we're shuffling up for game 3. We have a comment in the sides. Michael cites more cards. What did Alan play now that Michael did not? What did Alan play now that Michael did not see coming last round? Well, a lot more pump spell. The larger than life, the Uncaged Fury had a much more prominent position, but also don't underestimate the fact that there is a difference between starting a game on the play versus on the draw. There's certain cards that become better or worse, especially when it's considering tempo. Tempo cards that you play while you're on the draw are considerably worse than if you can play them on the play. So we're off to a bit of a slow start with a thriving Rhino 3-drop as the first non-land permanent of this game. Again, playing in the to the advantage of Michael, who would love for every game to take 15 turns so he can escalate and build his advantage as he goes. Fatal Push taking care of the Rhino as Michael gets to pass the turn on an empty board again. 5 mana. Here's another Nissa. Does Michael have the negate this time? It appears that he does not, and will get to eat a 5/5 elemental. No, has the Fatal Push to get rid of that, but still has to deal with the beefy Planeswalker. Vengeful Rebel gets played without... Oh, there's a lot of Vengeful cards in Magic. Vengeful Rebel gets played without Revolt, in the hopes of having a permanent on the board to attack Nissa with. Alan starts flinging a lance at Michael's head. Not another Fatal Push to neutralize this one. And what else will... Oh, Alan passes the turn. So this is a bit of an issue that some of these decks run into, is that they're playing a lot of pump spells and can get in the way of actually keeping a threat on the table if your opponent is playing around it smartly. Michael attacking the Nissa down to 4, but if that's the only thing he's planning to do, that's a race he's gonna lose. The Nissa will kill him before he kills the Nissa. No, actually, no, he kills the Nissa when he's at 5 life with this sequence. But that's assuming that neither player plays any card anymore. And I already see some removal in Alan's... Oh, I just realized that Alan does not have access to red mana, actually. Wow, that's painful. Acrobatic Maneuver blinks the Vengeful Rebel, gives the land -3, -3. But Alan is ready with the Blossoming Defense, and in response Michael goes Acrobatic Maneuver yet again, circumventing the hex proof that the Blossoming Defense would bring, and kills the land. I think something went wrong here.
Kasten.
Okay, I'm back. So apparently there was a block in the middle of that pump and blink sequence that allowed this outcome after all. And we are continuing. Michael playing his Linvala the Preserver, yes. While a mana screwed, color screwed Alan is pretty much forced to try and win by throwing his lands into the battlefield. But at this point it isn't looking so healthy for him. Again, viewers, if you're from somewhere outside of our local community, I would love to find out where you are and why you are watching this stream. You find it interesting, our little budget format. If you have any questions, feel free to dump them in the chat. In the meantime, the Linvala took out the Nissa, and we have finally a creature for Alan again in the form of Servant of the Conduit. And now Milis starts to attack Alan's life total, who chooses not to block the Vengeful Rebel here. And that's a displace. Milking the enters the battlefield abilities for all they're worth. Alan has a blossoming defenses to at least save his servant, but still does not have access to red mana here. Oh. Ah, the servant makes mana of any color? Ah, that explains why he didn't trade it. Yes, okay. That explains why he didn't trade it with the Vengeful Rebel. So we had a Harnessed Lightning coming in to take out the Linvala, making the board slightly more manageable for Alan. But things... Oh, another Vengeful Rebel for Michael. Finally gets the mountain. Okay, Alan, can you turn this around? Spontaneous Artist. Is a 3/3. Trades with one of the Vengeful Rebels. Oh, Alan chooses to take it actually. Not sure what his plan is here. Even a larger than life into Uncaged Fury here is only 16 damage. Michael is also a bit stunned by what's going on now exactly, I think, here. Trying to figure out if he has to play around something. Alan goes into the tank. If he was playing to a certain out, it doesn't look like he drew it. 2 mana Voltaic Brawler. And Michael taps, so he doesn't have a blink effect, which would have been lethal straight up. Alan offers double trade that gets accepted by Michael, and the follow-up is nothing. Wow! So it looks like Alan actually gets to keep playing in this game. I think he could have been better off with 3 extra life had he blocked earlier there, but apparently he doesn't get punished for that, so we're continuing in this match. Yes, Alan plays Spontaneous Artist that can give any creature haste. So yeah, there's haste stuff. I don't think Michael is, and I think that was your question. So Michael fetching, thinning his deck, looking for something to provide some counter pressure. He has some cards in his hand, but apparently not the ones he wants. A Harpooner, that explains quite a bit. That would have remained in his hand up to now, but we have another Voltaic Brawler. Okay, too far back. Voltaic Brawler. To add to the board. A great attacker, but not such a good defender. I think I would have attacked here in Michael's position. Offering the trade. Michael doesn't have any form of reach, so he has to finish a game with damage. This is 8 power. 9 power and double strike. That gets met by an acrobatic maneuver. Taking out the Voltaic Brawler, and I think that was the Hail Mary for Alan. The basket he put all his eggs in, that is now shattered, crushed on the floor, drops to 1 life, has 1 card in hand, which I think is another Uncaged Fury. Michael gets a Cloud Blazer, and with that has an evasive lethal clock on the board, and we have an extended hand. Michael Milis wins 2-1, goes on to place 4-0 in our event, nearly locked up a slot in the top 8. So thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the match that we'll put on the background, and we will be back with a round 5 hopefully soon.